Hi, Stephen from Owner Disown. Well, it's nearly Christmas, isn't it? And I know we did Black Friday before, but you know, there's still some decent deals out there for laptops and other tech if you are still in the market and looking for that gift to buy your loved one. So let's just check a few of them out. So over at Walmart, they have lots and lots of deals. It's insane. They're being very aggressive at the moment. And in fact, here we have the MSI GV62, and it has the quad-core i5-8300H CPU, GTX 1060. It has a 256GB SSD, which is great at this price point. Now it does only have 8GB of RAM, and I suspect that's just the one stick, so you may want to add another, but you do have a Fortnite bundle included. It's $800, and I think that's a pretty decent value. Now I suspect that it only has a 60Hz panel, which you know is still okay, but so you do get the Fortnite package, which includes all this type of stuff here if you're into that. But I think $800, that is a decent performance, you know, price for this performance with a 1060. Also over at Walmart, we have a couple of HP Pavilions. Now the one that's all the rage, of course, is the 479 one, which is out of stock at the moment. It's been selling out like hotcakes. I actually have reviewed this model. It's got 1050 Ti graphics. It does have a terabyte storage solution in it, and one stick of 8GB of RAM, which I suggest you upgrade that. And it does say it's a 7,200 RPM hard drive, which I question because I'm sure mine was 5,400. But this doesn't have the Optane storage, so perhaps that's what they have done to put a faster spinning drive in, which would mean that you still have a PCI Express slot to put something else in there. And I do recommend doing that, cloning it to an SSD or that type of thing. But I think for $479, it's a decent value. Now it does, of course, have its caveats. It's a panel that's not that great, and it also does run hot. But if you do underclock this CPU, it is not a bad performer. The hinge is another weak area, of course. I've had one guy report that it's failed, but if you open and close it centrally on the display, I think it should still uphold okay. And I think for an entry-level laptop, it's perfectly fine, and it also handles VR well. I've actually tested that one out. Now, of course, if you do step it up a little bit, you can get the 1060 model. That's $899, and that's still decent value. It does have the 6-core CPU, which is nice, of course, but of course it will probably run a bit hotter, and of course it has the Optane memory boosted terabyte hard drive. I think for $899, that's a decent value. If you're prepared to tweak that CPU a little bit and lower its clock speed, I think that's not a bad option. Now, of course, Walmart have the overpowered laptops. Now, I encourage you to go over to Bob, to see Bob of All Trades videos there. He's actually reviewed this unit, the 599 one with a 1050 in it, i5-8300H. He's done a great review on that, and that's exceptional value. But I think probably even better value is the 899 one, which of course he's just tested. Now it has exactly the same chassis, same everything. It's just different GPU, and it have a 144Hz panel. So that is fantastic with an SSD. I don't think you can go wrong. 16GB of RAM. I think that's probably the deal of the century. And by all accounts, it runs really cool. It's got a mechanical keyboard with brown switches that are nice and quiet. And that is fantastic. Now, they do have a 17-inch laptop. Now, this is I understand, a plastic build compared to a metal build under 15 inches. Now, I do have this one arriving, I think, today. That has the 6-core CPU, and of course, the 1060. The mechanical keyboard, the same 144Hz panel, but of course it's 17-inch, and it has 32GB of RAM. Probably a bit overkill, but not bad, and that's $1,300. So I think that's not a bad option either. And one thing I'd like to point out, as Bob has mentioned, these are Tongfang chassis. They'll come pretty much configured as they are. They are available at the other boutique sellers like CyberPower PC, HID Evolution Electronics, that type of thing. Compared to the desktops, which they'll be putting components in, and there's been criticism on the quality of the components. But the laptops are perfectly fine. Now, if you're into 2-in-1 laptops, which I am, maybe a sketcher or a note taker, I think this HP Pavilion 360 again at Walmart is a great buy. It's only $399, and I think that's awesome. Now, it does have the i5 8130U CPU. Now that's a 15-watt part. It's a dual two-core CPU, but does have hyper-threading, and you also have a 1TB hard drive with the Optane memory. Now I understand, I think that's only a 5,400 RPM hard drive, so it's not going to be the fastest. But the fact is, you've got that Optane memory. You can always ditch all that and put in a SSD or something like that and make it pretty snappy. And I think, you know, it comes with a pen. I think $400. You know, it's very tempting, I must admit. They also have at Walmart the Asus ROG Strix Hero 2. Now I've reviewed this one, and this is probably the best performing 1060 model I've done so far. It's got the slim bezels. It's got the i7-8758 6-core CPU. It has the 256GB PCI Express SSD. Now the only drawback here, it has only one stick of RAM, but you can upgrade that, and it has the 144Hz IPS panel, and it's a nice panel. If I recall, it's the same one that's used on the Zephyrus S, and I did like it. But the beauty about this laptop, it does not throttle at all. The cooling is exceptional. It runs steady at that 3.9 gigahertz. Fantastic. And it comes with the Call of Duty Black Ops for $1,149. I think that would definitely be on my shortlist, because when I reviewed this, it was around about $1,600. Very nice. Now, of course, if you're you're into the convertibles, the Microsoft Store has some options here for you. I had a quick look at the HP Pavilion 360 15-inch 2-in-1. It has the i5-8250U CPU. Again, that's it's a 15-watt part, but that works perfectly fine. You know, it'll be 4-core, 8-thread. That's it, and it's, you know, certainly good. You're going to get decent battery life out of it. Probably I'd expect around about, you know, 8 hours or so of battery life. And it's going to be fairly portable, fairly lightweight. And again, if you want to use a pen, it's perfectly fine. And this is, you know, $499. That's $300 off. I think that is a decent option. It's actually the same as the one here at Walmart, but you do have the you know, step up in the CPU, and you have the SSD option as well. Costco, if you shop at Costco, you remember Costco, they have good return policies and some good options here. Now, I looked at the Lenovo Legion Y7000. Now, I haven't actually reviewed this one, but by all accounts, it's fairly decent. What I like about it, it's got 16 gigabytes of RAM, a terabyte hard drive, and a 256GB SSD, and the GTX 1060, you know, for $950. That's $150 off. It expires the end of December. You do get also the Call of Duty Black Ops 4, which is, you know, valued at like $50. So I think that's not bad at all. It's the hard drive is a 7,200 RPM hard drive, which is nice and speedy, and you have the 6-core CPU and a 1080p, I think 60 hertz display. But I think for $950, you know, that is not bad. The only concerns I would have on this are perhaps the hinge. I'm not a great fan of that style, and it may be a weak point, of course. And looking around here, you don't have many ports at the sides. They are all located, or most of them are located at the back. So, you know, if it's USB ports there, you know, you might be struggling there. But I think they might light up. I'm not sure, but still, that's, you know, some people like them at the back, particularly if you've got the you know, HDMI port and stuff like that. You might wonder if that's okay. But other than that, I think it looks a fairly decent panel computer, and I do like the air intakes here, big air intakes. No exhaust at the sides, but all out the back. I had a quick look at the Acer certified website. They have recertified models of laptops and monitors they have here. And this one struck my fancy. It's an open box, $400, 27-inch, 1920 by 1080. It's a Gsync panel, 144 hertz, I believe. Yes, 144 hertz. Now, they got it over at Amazon, and here it's $488. It's like, you know, $90, $100 off or so. And it's got, you know, one review then. It's very good. So if you're after a Gsync panel, that's not a bad one to look at. Again, over at the Acer Certified, we have the Nitro 5, 15.6 inch. This time it actually it comes with the i5-7300 HQ CPU. So that's, you know, the 7th generation. It's 4-core, 4-thread. So no hyper-threading. It's 2.5 to 3.5 gigahertz, 45-watt part, but still ample for gaming. 1050 Ti. It's got an SSD, so that's going to make it fairly speedy, and that's $490. I think that's a good viable option for you there. Now over at Newegg, they have the Acer Predator Triton 700. It's a refurbished model, so it has 90 days warranty. One thing to note, when you buy a refurbished one from Newegg, if you don't like it, you know, you can send it back, but I'll send you another one. You can't get your money back. But, you know, I have looked at this in the store, and it does look nice. It's very slim. It is quite sleek. The only thing off-putting to me is, I believe, the trackpad is here at the top. You know, so the keyboard is moved forward, and the trackpad, I think, is up the top here, if I recall. But it has a GTX 1080 in it. Different styling for sure. It's got 5 heat pipes. So I haven't tested it, but I think it should run fairly decently cool. But the takeaway here, a GTX 1080 in it. That's not bad at all. And the CPU, of course, you just have the quad-core 8-thread i7 7600HQ, but you have 32 gigabytes of memory and a 512 gigabyte SSD for $1,945. You know, that's not bad. Now, if you're into VR, over at the Microsoft Store, you have the HP Windows Mixed Reality headset. Of course, they all come with motion controllers, and you save $200 here. You got for $250, great entry into VR. I've got the Samsung Odyssey, and it's, you know, it's plug and play. It's a lot easier to set up than the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift. Much more portable. Tracking perhaps not as good as those solutions, you know, with the controllers, but it's still fine, you know, and the kids love it. So I think for $250, and you want to get into VR, this is a great option. Again, over at the Microsoft Store, we have the MSI GS65 Stealth. Now, I have reviewed this one, actually. It's got the 16 gigabytes of RAM and the 1060 graphics. You know, but mine ran nice and cool. It was fast. It got good speakers. It's very thin, inverted motherboard, which is a shame. So it's harder to do an upgrade. But you only have a 256 gigabyte SSD here. So that would be my concern. But still, it's not bad at all, really. And I think for $1,600, if you want a thin and light laptop, this is the lightest one you get. It's about 4.1 pounds. It is a good option. Finally, we have the Huawei Matebook D laptop. This is for $849, and you know, it's about $200, $250 off. Now, what I was struck about this one is that it, of course, has the 4-core 8-thread i7 8550U CPU. Now that is 1.8 to 4 gigahertz. You can boost it to get up to that, close to that 4 gigahertz or thereabouts. It will end up performing similar to the i7 7600HQ. It has only 8 gigs of RAM, 512 gigabyte SSD, and it has the MX150 graphics. So it's, you know, it's not meant for be a super gaming, but if you want a light laptop, something that doesn't weigh much, 3.5 pounds or 1.6 kilos, something to have on the go and doesn't break the bank, I think it's a fairly decent option. Anyway, I hope you find some of those useful, and, you know, happy Christmas, and please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.